I've always felt a little insecure, like talking about fashion, talking about style. Um, but one of my biggest fashion inspirations is movies and TV shows. And what I'm watching often informs how I'm dressing and or at least the clothes that I'm looking for when I'm thrifting. What is up? I am Jake, and this is Totally Flow. Today is episode 10. Oh my gosh, 10 episodes in. I'm so stoked to be here with you in this now moment, floating in the current of life. And today, I wanted to talk about something very special to me, which is thrifting or thrift shopping, okay? Definitely a obscure topic to fit into the Totally Flow universe, but thrifting is something that I do all the time, probably like multiple times a week, and it really serves as such a beacon of joy, of fun, and of flow to me. So I wanted this episode to be kind of like an informative guide about how thrifting helps me find flow, how it helps a lot of people like have fun and explore new corners of curiosity that you wouldn't expect, and potentially how it can help you find your own flow. I think I started thrifting and exploring shops like Goodwill, Salvation Army, those types of places. Maybe like early high school, because in high school I was always going to school dances that were always changing themes and whatnot. And even before high school, I was going to ASB camp, and there was tons of dances, tons of themes, and I remember going to Goodwill and trying to find costumes. So costumes was like the beginning of my thrifting experience, looking for wacky stuff in the midst of the men and women section. Didn't even matter because, just going for pure wackiness. And over time, over the years, as like I went through high school, I think I started to think of thrifting more of like an opportunity to expand my own closet, my own fashion, trying to find cool items. And yeah, seeping into college, I feel like that's when I really got into thrifting. And especially in the last year or so, last couple years, I started thrifting all the time because it was something I could do by myself or with, some friends. And it's just a really awesome way to like fill a Saturday. I think like my ideal Saturday involves getting a coffee or, having like a little bit of morning juice and then hitting the thrift and trying to find some fun things. So let's hop into reason number 1 as I sip my tea with my Alaska mug, which is a thrifted mug. Reason number 1 why you should thrift is because it's an activity that literally makes you mentally tap into the flow state. Like the show, obviously, flow, totally flow. But to me, flow is like an ever-changing word. It's not necessarily that, no hardcore definition. But in psychology, the idea of tapping into a state of flow is basically when, your eyes glaze over and you lose sense of time and space, and you're able to just like do whatever's in front of you with absolute full presentness and attention. And thrifting is one of those experiences for me because when I walk into the doors of, let's say, Savers is one of my favorite thrift stores here in SoCal. And when I walk into the doors, it's kind of like my eyes glaze over and I go into like autopilot mode. And my number one priority is to just scan, absorb, and make like snap micro judgments and decisions of where my interest and curiosity is guiding me. Because sometimes I'll walk in and I'll be instantly guided to go check out the camera section. And I won't even look at the whole front area of the store, and I'll just streamline all the way through people, shelves, aisles closed to the very back to try to find the cameras. And then I'm in it, I'm searching, and then maybe I'll have a little impulse and I'll think to myself, go check out like the men's clothing, then circle back to the front tchotchkes. And this kind of like mental dialogue that's happening is, I don't know, it doesn't sound like dialogue in my head. It's more like the autopilot, like I was saying. But as I'm walking through the aisles, as I'm exploring new things, I'm seeing new colors. I'm seeing funky typography on books and on DVDs. I'm picking up random pieces of ceramic stuff that, I've never seen before. And I think that is what's at the core of how thrifting helps tap into flow is it's 100% about newness and curiosity. Where newness and curiosity meet is it's kind of like you're open-hearted to whatever is in front of you. And that is what flow feels like to me. I'm trying to think of one of my most flow-like thrift experiences. One that happens pretty often. Once a month, I like to go to the Long Beach flea market, which is this like mega flea market collection of a whole bunch of vendors selling anything you can think of, from clothes to like vintage toys to like surfboards and huge signs and furniture and all this kind of stuff. And as I go to the Long Beach flea market, as I walk through the doors, there's so many people, so much stuff to see. I'm going through this aisle. I'm trying to take mental note of where I'm going so I don't do the same thing twice unless I want to. And at the end of it, I always get in my car and I drive home. And when I get home, I literally feel like I ran a marathon. But it really isn't about like the physical amount of steps that I'm walking. It's more about how focused I am as I'm in autopilot mode, as I'm perusing through this collection of vintage goods. And I love that kind of like mental exercise, literally. Like it is exercise of the mind. And going to the flea market is one of those things where it's multiple hours of flow at one time. And then when I get home, I like crash on the couch and I'm so tired. That is why thrifting, specifically flea markets or big thrift stores, help me feel like I'm tapping into flow. So this weekend, if you have an open schedule, nothing to do, and maybe you've gone thrifting before, but you've never really become like infatuated with thrifting, give it a try and go get yourself a coffee. If you're by yourself, I recommend throwing in a pair of headphones and thrifting with headphones. That's like a pro tip. But it's also incredibly fun if you're with a bunch of friends and can bounce off each other what you like and don't like. But definitely go do it this weekend. Now, second reason why I love to thrift, how thrifting could potentially help you tap into flow in your own life, is all about the items, like the actual items that you're finding. And for me, most often, it's fashion oriented. It's about, based on the given moment, what am I looking for, or at least what section am I going to be exploring? Like recently, I've been looking for a lot of outerwear, whereas maybe summer comes around and I'm looking for like board shorts, or winter comes around and I'm looking for like a new pair of pants or something. But I really like to go into my fashion quest open-minded, because I find that the less expectations I have of what I'm going to find, the more joy that I have when I'm finding random things, which is just like anything in life. Have minimal expectations, because surprise breeds excitement. So as you're walking down the aisles, you got to be on the lookout for unique things that pique your interest. As I'm walking down, I'm always just looking. My first instinct is to look for colors that draw me in because I tend to lean towards like yellows, blues, aquas, those types of things. And then as I'm looking through those colors, I'll sometimes come across like really unique items. Like this jacket that I'm wearing today, I got yesterday in Anaheim, California for I think $5.99. Okay. Really cool, really original. This is something that I couldn't buy today on, from, I don't even know, like a local surf shop. This is just one of one. And I think that is what it's all about. It's about finding the diamonds in the rough, the things that pique your interest and that you want to add to your wardrobe. And these types of items are what I'm always searching for. Because over time, the more that you thrift, the more that you find the awesome items, the more your closet is going to be filled with like amazing random finds from over the years. Like I can pretty much pinpoint every piece of thrifted clothing in my closet to the exact moment that I bought it. And I can't say that to a lot of my t-shirts that are, newish, or a lot of my pants are newish. I can't really remember exactly where and when I got them, but it's different when it comes to thrifted clothes. And over time, since I started thrifting in like high school era, I bet probably like 40% of my closet is full of thrifted, interesting items. And it just kind of is like a eclectic catalog of cool stuff. And I love to think that all of those random items kind of inform my style. My style is based on the search, the quest, the treasure hunt. People always talk about fashion as a way of self-expression. And I don't know, I've never really like felt that way. I've never like put on a t-shirt and felt like, oh, I'm expressing my true self. Because I think that fashion and clothing is inherently tied to how people are going to like judge you. And I more feel like my forms of self-expression that I'm drawn to are less about the judgment of others. But thrifting is a really unique way that I've been able to kind of bridge the gap or find clarity in that idea of self-expression through fashion. Because as I am thrifting, I'm on a quest. I'm on that treasure hunt that I keep referring to. And then a week later, as I, go out to a bar with my friends and I throw on the jacket that I just thrifted, I kind of feel like that jacket is saying more than just, hey, I'm stylish. Look at me. I'm wearing a yellow jacket. And it's really saying, I like to explore. I'm curious. I like new things. I like to go thrifting. I like to do this. I like to do that. So I kind of like that the clothes are saying, they're explaining maybe like what kind of person you are. What are your interests? What are you drawn to? What era do you kind of resonate with? Or a lot of my clothing comes from like 80s, 90s. I even have a couple sweaters that are like 60s. I live by the beach, so a lot of my fashion is like beach inspired, coastal vibes. So yeah, that was a long and rambling spiel about fashion. Last thing I'll say is that everybody has different inspirations when it comes to fashion. And for me, I've always I've always felt a little insecure, like talking about fashion, talking about style. But one of my biggest fashion inspirations is movies and TV shows. And what I'm watching often informs how I'm dressing and or at least the clothes that I'm looking for when I'm thrifting, when I'm at the thrift. Like recently, I was watching a ton of Seinfeld, and I was seeing Jerry and Elaine rocking these like awesome denim jackets. And then I was at the Long Beach flea market and I found like a super 90s era denim jacket, and I immediately grabbed it, and it was like $20. And now I've been rocking it for the last few weeks, and it's so 90s, and it makes me feel like I'm in the show. And I feel that way about so many pieces in my closet. Like right here, this shirt that I had on my bed, This is one I got in Encinitas for $2.50 at flea market. And it says Bulldogs Vancouver. Okay, can you see that? And kind of a random shirt for me. It's kind of like an aggressive vibe, but for some reason, it was just reminding me of a lot of the TV shows that I like. Um, Kind of gave me like iCarly vibes because iCarly, their school mascot is the Bulldogs. And I was also just watching a movie called Senior Year on Netflix, and the mascot of that school is the Bulldogs. And I was like, that's kind of funny. Like, that I found a Bulldog t shirt right after that. And Vancouver, I don't know, Canada's cool. So that's a little bit of how movies play into my fashion sense. So maybe next time you're watching Netflix or you're in love with a show, be extra aware of what kind of styles the main characters are wearing. What are you drawn to? What do you like? What do you don't like? And maybe, by way of flow, the next time you're at the thrift, you're going to be walking down the aisle and you're going to find that magic item. And you're going to think back to the TV show. You're going to buy it. You're going to put it on. And you're going to feel like you are the main character of your own movie. Now let's hop into reason number 3 why you should thrift. How thrifting could potentially help you tap into flow. How it makes me stoked. All that kind of stuff. Let's talk cost. It is the cheapest, best, most cost-efficient hobby you could ever start. Especially if you're going to places like Goodwill, like Salvation Army. And over the last 5 years, I feel like I've noticed prices almost doubling. It used to be like $1 to get a t-shirt, and now it's like $2 to get a t-shirt. So it's not that like doubled in price, yes, because there's way more people thrifting, which is amazing. Everybody should thrift. It's so fun. It's so joy-filled. It's so creative. And it's also really good for the environment. So I think the more and more people that hop on this thrift bandwagon, the better. But the prices have gone up a little bit in the last 5 years. So maybe back in the day when you would find a jacket for $5 at Goodwill, now it's like $10 at Goodwill. So you have to be conscientious of the shops you're going into. I like to think that there's 3 types of thrift stores. There's the Goodwill Salvation Army type, which is a whole bunch of content, and it's up to you to scrub through that content to find the diamond in the rough, to find the holy grail, to find the magic jacket, okay? And that's fun, in my opinion. That quest, that search, that plight is enjoyable. Then there's the more vintage shops, and these are going to run you like a higher dollar for the items because what the person has done is they've already gone to the Goodwill, they've already gone to the flea markets and got a whole bunch of stuff that is really awesome, and now they're selling it to you. So they're charging you extra for that time spent searching for the items. So they kind of have like a curated selection of vintage goods. And those shops are going to be pretty expensive these days. Like a lot of people are looking for cool vintage shirts, cool shoes. So that's going to be a lot more expensive than the Goodwills. Then there's the in-between. Like here in Southern California, there's shops like Buffalo Exchange and Plato's Closet. And those are kind of like the Plato's Closet's actually pretty high, upper echelon, but Buffalo Exchange is kind of like that middle tier where you might find a jacket for like $14, right? Less than you would at a department store, but more than you would if you're at the flea market. So you have to be, thinking about the cost, and it feels really awesome to find something amazing and have it be a super low amount of money. Like I have a couple pairs of vintage jeans, and I got them before thrifting became like pretty popular in the last few years. So I think I got both of my pairs of like 501 Levi's old school for like $15. Whereas now, if you were to go to LA and to go to the Melrose Trading Post, like tons of people do because it's super awesome and it's a super great curated collection of goods, those jeans are going to be like $50 or $70. So you got to keep your eye out for the little hidden treasures. And over time, maybe you'll learn about certain items that are worth more than others. And if you find them, grab them. Because maybe you could resell them on Depop, on Poshmark. I've been doing that a little bit, and it's really fun to make other people happy by providing them with vintage goods. And my last reason why you should thrift, how thrifting makes me feel like I'm in the flow, the reason why I think everybody should do it. The more you thrift, the more that your closet is going to be filled with these unique items, right? And I've found that sometimes you'll come across an item that catches your eye, looks interesting, you buy it, you bring it home, and it becomes your favorite thing in your whole closet, unexpectedly, okay? And I think that that's due to the previous owner of the good. Like, I genuinely feel this way, that somebody owned the shirt before you own the shirt. They lived in it, it was a part of their life, a part of their routine, a part of their energy. And eventually they decided that they were going to let it go. They were going to donate it. And it just trickled from their drawer to a donation basket into, a whole bunch of shirts onto the shelf. And then over time, it sat there on the shelf until you saw it, you appreciate it, you picked it out, you added it to your wardrobe. And I have a couple items that make me feel so great that the only reason that I can justify how good they make me feel is thinking that the previous owner must have been a really awesome person, had awesome juju, was just a really all-around positive energy type of individual. So let me show you my favorite shirt. This shirt, my Alaska tee, Juneau, Alaska. It's got a bear on it. It's like this peach pink type of shirt. And normally I would never buy this color shirt, this type of shirt, especially with a big graphic on the front. It's not usually my cup of tea, but I just bought it one day when I was in Oceanside, California. And I think I got it for like $12 because it was at one of those kind of curated type of spots. And now it's my favorite shirt. I wear it all the time. Every time I wear it, it feels like a hug. It feels like I'm home. It feels comfortable. And I love to think that maybe the shirt was owned by like a grandma in the past, an Alaskan grandma. And the shirt says Juneau. So maybe the grandma wasn't from Juneau, but maybe she went and traveled to Juneau. Maybe she was from, I'm trying to think of another spot in Alaska. Literally can't even think of one. But wait, I have an Alaska mug with a map on it. Maybe she was from Fairbanks, Alaska, went to Juneau on a little trip, got a shirt, and wore it all the time because it made her, so happy, so full of joy and love for her trip to Juneau. And then the shirt ended up in my life, and it brings me so much joy. It's kind of like that movie Like Mike. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but basically this kid named Calvin is an orphan, and the orphanage gets a donation from a thrift shop type of place, and he finds a pair of Nike Blazers, and they happen to be Michael Jordan's Magic tennis shoes from when he was a kid, and the shoes give Calvin magical powers to play basketball, and I kind of like feel like that's 10% true for me. I think the energy is articulated from person to person through the article of clothing. And I can also kind of prove it in my own experience because I have this one shirt that on paper, is like my favorite item in my closet. But in actuality, it has weird vibes to it. I never choose it. I never put it on. Yellow stripes, so cool. Nice shorts, like the length of the sleeve is pretty short. And it's kind of just like this vintage, cool looking striped yellow button up. But for some reason, every time I put it on, it gives me weird energy. And yeah, I think I got to get rid of it or something, or dye it a different color, because I kind of think that the previous owner of this shirt didn't give it love, or maybe was, stressed out, in a bad mood. So that energy kind of just articulated to me through the shirt. So that is why I think you and everybody in the world should go thrift, because the more you thrift, the more you find the items, you're going to come across a magical shirt like my pink shirt. And it's going to change your life. It's going to bring you so much more joy, so much bliss, so much love. And I'd love to hear if you have any items in your life that are thrifted that feel a little bit magical to you, because I genuinely feel that way. So that is the thrifting episode. Thank you so much for listening. I hope, if anything, you come away from this with just more info on why people thrift, why I thrift, and why you should thrift. Because it's awesome, it's life-giving, it's full of curiosity, newness, joy, exploration, treasure hunting, all great things in life. So thank you so much for watching. Definitely check me out on TikTok at Totally Flow, Instagram, Totally Flow, The Real Jake T. And yeah, episode 10. I'm so stoked to get here. As I was starting Totally Flow, I told myself, you must film 10 episodes. You can't quit. You have to do at least 10. And we made it. And I think we're going to keep going. So, as always, see you next week. Love you. Bless you. Thank you. See you soon.